Do your snow scenes look like a stiff mess of black and white lines? Let's be honest, painting less is harder than painting more. Imagine a wood so atmospheric you can feel the cold. The problem isn't skill, it's using descriptive strokes where you need suggestive ones. I used to agonize over every branch until I realized depth comes from what you don't paint. Let's break down the three-step system for that soft winter look. We start by painting the air, not the trees. Most people rush to the trunks, but to get that cold feeling, we have to establish the light first with a light wash. Watch how I make vertical brush strokes that will suggest trees that will develop later on in the painting process. These light values are going to help me build the atmospheric look I'm going for. This makes it a lot easier to paint the areas in dark afterwards. And the trick that makes the woods look like they are filtering light is the use of light values and the proper warmth in the color. Now, the thing about snow is it's the lightest value in the landscape, but snow is more than white. It's white, various shades of blue, lavender, gray, and various amounts of warmth and coolness. Those guide my color choices. You can see here that before I started the painting, I practiced finding the color mixtures that will work for all those colors of snow and the trees in the background. Mainly they are ultramarine blue mixed with either burnt sienna, raw umber, or yellow ochre. I'm painting the background trees here, wet on dry first, and then wet into wet with those color mixtures, alternating between a cooler mixture and a warmer mixture, sometimes starting with yellow ochre on the paper. These colors help establish the light filtering through the trees, and the vertical brush strokes suggest trees that I'll bring out more with darker colors after this wash has dried. I'm blocking in these loose shapes with the number 14 Fuumuui Sable round brush, which I use for most of the painting. It can be counterintuitive to use such a large brush on this 9 by 12 inch paper by Meaden, but this helps me create the large shapes first and makes the painting cohesive. All my materials are listed in the description with links, including the watercolor paints, which are all by Daniel Smith. You can see that I'm painting around some trees that I did draw in. This is negative painting. And this will allow me to show some snow on those trees and work in sections across the paper. This lets the watercolors blend and merge without me losing control of them. Notice while the background colors are still wet that I start working on the shadow of the snow on the log. That way I don't end up with a hard edge on the background. The forms flow together, making the composition feel unified. So the thing with these backlit trees is we have a real opportunity to paint loosely and yet still suggest trees. Now this scene is inspired by a snowy scene in my backyard near the fence that separates our property from a farm, as you can see in the reference photo. I'd seen some other watercolor paintings where the trees were not all perfectly defined and painted loosely like I'm doing here. The effect in those paintings was mesmerizing even without all those details, so I wanted to try it for myself. Even though I don't have all of the background wash complete, to get a soft round shape of the snow on the log where it had been cut, I painted in some darker raw umber. You'll see how this helps shape the log by letting it work wet into wet. Same thing for the shadow of the log cast onto the snow. The reason I can get away with this is because I did paint the scene in sections and all will come together in the end. Now that the background wash is complete, I can start to paint the snow on the closest trees as well as the trees themselves, meaning the bark. Notice how again I'm taking advantage of the wet background and painting the shadows on the snow so the shapes are all connected. Here's another example of first painting wet on dry, then wet into wet to let the pure colors blend on the paper. This will give us those variations in color and value in the snow like we talked about in the beginning of this video. For step 2 to work, I had to let the painting dry. Now I can add in the deeper values to define the shadows. I'm starting wet on dry and then able to use wet into wet techniques. Here's another trick. Notice how I've used a dry brush stroke to show some texture on the bark of the tree. So the general rule with value, which is how light or dark your subject is we'll find our darkest darks in the foreground as well as our lightest lights. But then as the land recedes into the background, the darks aren't as dark and the lights aren't as light. By painting in these trees, these darker colors, it pulls them closer to the viewer. And so the light colors that we see in between them give us a sense of distance. The placement of the colors I'm using here is flexible. If you're painting along, just because I use raw umber doesn't mean you have to use that color in that spot. Maybe there's another color you want to use. And that's a question you can answer when you figure out your colors before beginning the painting. If you like this painting, remember that while I have a plan, it's not so rigid that I have to know ahead of time every brush stroke and the placement of every color. You have a range of freedom here as long as you remain true to the value. This is the moment where the watercolor either stays a sketch or becomes a true painting. We are finally moving into descriptive brushwork, but only in the areas that matter most. Watch how a few darks make all those soft background washes suddenly look like a dense, freezing woods. I'm using a combination of ultramarine blue and raw umber for these shadows. When you're learning watercolor, especially if you previously painted in oils or acrylics, your teacher will emphasize to dilute your paints in a way that's different from how you do it in oils and acrylics. But don't be afraid to use less water and brush in some very dark colors in your watercolors. For realistic paintings, even painted in a loose style like this, contrast is what breathes life into your paintings. A word about the green that I'm using in this painting. At the time that I took this photo, it was November, so not all of the green leaves had turned. This is Undersea green, and it's a warm green, and it also tends to split into different colors when you use it wet into wet. It's just a really gorgeous color. Even though it's called Undersea green, it works perfectly in landscapes. In some of the places on the snow, I felt that the pure white of the paper was too stark. And so I've mixed up a very, very pale warm wash that also is in line with the colors I was talking about with snow earlier in this video, that snow is not just pure white. One of the things I talk about when teaching watercolor trees in my school community is you want to make sure your trees don't look pasted on, but are growing out of the ground. This is what I'm doing with these dark colors at the base of the trees. If you're interested in more detail about the techniques I use in my paintings on YouTube, definitely join me in my community to get all the tutorials you need to become a confident watercolor artist. The link is in the description and the QR code is on the screen. To help me with the details, I've switched to this needle brush. It's a size 4 Extended Point by Fuumuui. For painting these snow-covered branches, this dark mixture is a combination of ultramarine blue and raw umber. mostly raw umber. These details, for me, are often the most exciting part of the painting process because it's when we establish the most contrast I was talking about earlier, where the painting starts to feel alive. To add a bit more interest to the composition, I decided to deviate from the reference photo and add in a few more loose trees. The way I'm doing this is to establish the trunks, and then if it looks too harsh, I'm going back with a damp brush and softening those edges, making it so that there is more of a suggestion of the trees, that you don't see the whole tree, that parts of it are fading into the background. And I think that it does add more interest and also contributes to the atmospheric feel of the painting. If you're looking for ideas for your own paintings, remember you don't have to visit exotic places. That scenery as close as your own backyard can offer a lot. Now, this is a pretty simple landscape painted mostly with a large brush, but these simple objects can look quite charming when depicted in watercolor paint. The painting is complete, and I'm really happy with how I was able to preserve the atmospheric light. If you want to dive deeper into brushwork techniques, I have a full library of these inside my community, Painting with Peggy. You can scan the QR code on the screen or find the link below to join us. But if you aren't ready for the community yet and just want to master more winter scenes, check out this video next where I show you how to convert a snowless backyard into a charming winter scene. I'll see you over there.